All right, let's jump right in. We're going to take a trip back in time, about 15 years, to see how front-end development completely transformed. I mean, we went from these pretty simple scripts to the insanely complex, powerful apps we all use every single day. But here's the thing. As that complexity exploded, so did a hidden cost. And that cost, it's security.
So, let's get our bearings with a quick look at the timeline. It really all kicked off in the early 2010s. The entire world was basically running on jQuery, right? The main goal was just make it work on all the browsers. But then around 2013, everything changed. The SPA, the single-page application era, began, with giants like React and Angular leading the charge. After that, things got serious. We started building better tools, Webpack, Babel, to manage all this new complexity. TypeScript came along and made our code way more robust. And now, in the last few years, it's all about performance. The big question today is, how can we ship less JavaScript and make things faster for the user? It's a whole new ballgame.
Okay, here's the plan for our journey. We'll kick things off with the age of jQuery, then talk about the component revolution. After that, we'll look at the need for speed and scale and see where we are today. And then, this is the really important part, we're going to pivot to security and figure out what we can do to build a safer web.
All right, let's rewind the clock and start at the beginning, back when one library really did rule them all.
I mean, seriously, think about it. Back then, your biggest problem wasn't some complex state management nightmare. No, it was just trying to get your cool new animation to work on Internet Explorer and Firefox. And that's where jQuery came in. It was the hero we all needed, you know? It just smoothed over all those browser quirks. And the architecture we used for this? Well, it was a perfect fit for a simpler web. We called it the monolith.
So, the monolith. What is it? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. The entire application, the UI, the business logic, everything was just crammed into one single giant code base. Think of it like a studio apartment for your code. It's all in one room.
And look, for a small site or a brand new project, this was actually awesome. It was simple, easy to get started, easy to deploy. But what happens when that app starts to grow? Yeah, that's when the cracks started to show. The code base turned into this giant, tangled ball of yarn. You change one tiny thing over here, and suddenly something totally unrelated over there would break. It was a nightmare. It couldn't scale.
So clearly, something had to change. And the solution, it was brilliant, really. It was a total mindset shift. What if we stopped thinking about our app as one giant thing, and instead, we started breaking it down into smaller, reusable pieces?
And this is where frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue absolutely changed the game. They brought this revolutionary idea to the table. Stop building pages, start building components. Think of them like Lego bricks for your UI. A search bar, that's a component. A user profile card, component. A simple button, you guessed it, a component. You build it once, and you can stick it anywhere you want.
This was a fundamental shift, you guys. Each component was like its own little self-contained world. It managed its own logic, its own styling, its own behavior. All of a sudden, your code was 1,000 times easier to read, to debug, and to test. It was a massive win for developers.
But, you know, nothing's ever that simple, right? For all the good things components brought, they also introduce a whole new set of problems. Like, how do you get all these little components to talk to each other? What happens when you have hundreds of them on a single page? Well, performance starts to take a hit. And every new component, every new dependency was another potential place for bugs. And, as we'll see, security vulnerabilities to hide.
So that brings us to the next phase in our story, the era of building for speed and for scale. It wasn't enough to just build cool stuff anymore. We had to make it fast, and we had to make it work for huge teams.
And really, two major ideas popped up to solve these problems. First, you've got server-side rendering, or SSR. This one's all about the user. The idea is to build the web page on the server before sending it, so the user sees content instantly. It's a huge win for perceived performance and for SEO. Then, on the other side, you've got micro frontends. This one is all about the developer. It lets you break up a giant app into smaller pieces that different teams can work on independently without, driving each other crazy. And all of this evolution, all these ideas, they bring us right up to today, the modern front-end landscape, where the conversation has taken another interesting turn.
I think this quote just nails it. The 2010s gave us the Lego bricks, the components, and the tools. But the 2020s, it's all about figuring out where to assemble those bricks. Is it on the server? Is it on the client? Is it somewhere in between, on the edge? That's the big question we're trying to answer now. And the core idea driving everything today is simple. Ship less JavaScript. Seriously, that's the goal. And that's given us really cool patterns. You've got the Jamstack, which is all about pre-building as much as possible for insane speed. You've got the islands architecture, which is like sending a mostly static page with just little pockets of interactivity. We're even seeing things like React server components, which run on the server so your phone or laptop doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. Heck, even CSS has gotten so powerful now that we don't even need JavaScript for a lot of the things we used to.
So here we are. We've built these incredible, fast, scalable applications. It's amazing, but with every new framework, every new tool, every NPM install, we've been adding layers of complexity. And with that complexity comes a huge, often overlooked problem that we absolutely have to talk about: security. The big question is this: in our race to build bigger and better things, have we accidentally left the front door wide open? Well, to get a real answer, let's check out a fascinating study from 2024. Researchers took 3 of the biggest frameworks out there, React, Vue, and Svelte, and put them under a security microscope.
Now, when you talk about web security, the gold standard is something called the OWASP Top 10. Think of it as the most wanted list for web vulnerabilities. It covers all the nasty stuff: injection attacks like cross-site scripting, using outdated and vulnerable code from other people, and even just simple misconfigurations. This is the exact checklist the researchers used to judge these frameworks.
So what they did was pretty clever. They built the exact same e-commerce app 3 times. Once in React, once in Vue, and once in Svelte. Then they scanned them for vulnerabilities right out of the box. No special security fixes, just the default setup. And the results? Well, take a look. They found vulnerabilities in all 3. Svelte clocked in with 11, Vue with 9, and React with 8. Nobody got a perfect score.
But here's the kicker, the most important finding of the whole study. The #1 most common vulnerability across all 3 frameworks: security misconfiguration. We're talking about simple stuff like missing security headers, things that the framework could handle but doesn't by default. And what that tells us is absolutely critical. Our tools are not secure by default. They're powerful, but they're not locked down. That responsibility, well, it falls right back on us, the developers.
Okay, so where does that leave us? What are we as developers supposed to do about this? How do we build things that are not just fast and slick, but also safe and secure?
Well, the good news is, the research gives us a really clear 3-step game plan. First, layer your testing. Don't just rely on one single tool to find problems. You need to combine different kinds of security scanning to see the whole picture. Second, and I can't stress this enough, don't trust the defaults. You have to go in and actively configure your security settings. Assume nothing is secure until you've made it secure. And finally, number 3, keep your dependencies updated. Run your audits, patch your packages. It's basic hygiene, but it's one of the most important things you can do.
Look, at the end of the day, this whole journey has given us some unbelievably powerful tools, but we have to remember what they are. They're tools, not fortresses. A framework helps you build the house. It doesn't automatically lock the doors for you. Security isn't just another feature you can NPM install. It's a mindset, it's a practice, it's a responsibility. So the question I want to leave you with is, how are you going to secure your corner of the web?